Welcome to Is Franchising Right for You? With your host, Rick Morgin. Through each episode, we'll demystify preconceived notions about franchising, both entrepreneurs franchising and those buying a franchise. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Now here's the host of Is Franchising Right for You? Rick Morgin.
Good afternoon, Rob and Missy. How are you guys today?
Good afternoon, Rick.
Rick.
Or good morning out by you. We're doing great.
Doing
Thank you.
well, thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm doing this podcast really to provide the listeners with great stories about a journey into franchising, which I think you have, and I think it's worthy of telling, and listeners want to hear it. So from what I understand is that you had a successful business with physical therapy and chiropractic care.
Yep.
And so what I want to understand is, how did that transform into recovery and assisted stretch? Because there seems to be two important parts of health, but the transformation into something different, that's what interests me.
Yep.
Well, that's a good question. We get asked that a lot, actually. So the Vital Stretch method didn't come to be as a separate business at all. So within our healthcare practice, we're treating a lot of patients in the orthopedic field, and they were really just getting problem-focused care. So you come in, you have a shoulder injury, a knee injury, a back injury, and the care was directed towards that body part. So what we found is there really was no sort of whole person wellness approach to their care or their recovery following their rehabilitation. So Rob and I basically just took our knowledge, our experience of pain and injury and movement patterns, and we put together what we call now the Vital Stretch method. So it really was born out of our rehab practice on our patient base, and it really just grew very quickly. The patient population really enjoyed it. They loved it. They got great responses from it. So we decided this could be its own business, and we kind of went from there.
So what you really discovered is treating, I guess, the front end to prevent the shoulder injury, coming in just to treat the pain. It's that overall start of healthy practice habit, because the people aren't going to stop doing what they're doing. They're going to be the weekend warrior and stuff like that.
We do feel that what we're doing is a wellness approach. It's fitness adjacent. So certainly anybody, you mentioned the word recovery. So, people who are exercise enthusiasts or athletes certainly enjoy the benefits of assisted stretch, because it helps with performance, right? It helps with injury prevention, so that when you're more mobile, when you have less restrictions, you're less prone to have wear and tear and stress and strain on the joints and other areas that tend to get damaged. And also it aids in recovery. So after you've had a great burn, nothing like a good assisted stretch to help the body to recover faster and fuller. But then there's also that whole wellness aspect, Rick. So you touch upon, it is preventive. Sure, certainly when your body is moving freely, and you're less likely to get hurt. You're going to have more. We use the word vital because we want people to live their lives with vitality. And then some people, of course, will use us. They have pain, so they have the chronic nagging pain. So it's not only the before; it's also the after.
Sure.
Yeah.
The thing is, we have a wide variety of people, all ages, all backgrounds.
Great. And so it's just not the weekend athlete or the athlete itself. It's people of all ages coming in for some sort of treatment, whether it's
Beauty of it.
mental, right? I mean, it's part of mental well-being, this this process that you take your customers through?
There's so many different benefits, and being that we're both sort of in the science field, we love to research all those benefits. So the benefits really are vast for people, but just, generally speaking, increasing blood flow to the tissue, to your brain, it helps in so many different aspects of life.
People report better focus, better sleep patterns, reduction of body aches and pains, that stress that tends to manifest within our bodies. Again, as well as just performing better and moving better. Our philosophy is that we like to help people of any age or fitness level to move freely so that they can live their lives fully.
So you've built this successful practice, the vital stretch.
Yep.
And was it because that there may have been competitors out there that you saw, or what kind of led you into believing that you could develop a franchise model?
So, I'll take that one. So, it's funny, when we first started developing it, which was actually back in 2018, we didn't know anybody else was actually doing assisted stretch.
Right.
What we have certainly come to find out is that we're not the only ones out there that are providing assisted stretch. Our aim is to come up with a method that is highly effective and highly safe. And that really draws upon our clinical backgrounds and how we approach not only the method itself, but how we teach and train those who are providing the service.
Well, with both of your medical backgrounds, would I be correct in understanding that it's what you provide with your stretchologist, I don't know what the right word is more science-backed? Is that accurate?
Everything we have taught is scientifically based. Yes.
Evidence-based.
It's definitely, based in evidence. Now, you don't have to be a physical therapist or a chiropractor in order to be a vital stretch practitioner. We do have 3 levels of training. It's pretty intense. But what you learn is evidence-based.
Okay, that's an important process for your practitioners. They're the people providing the stretching for your customers are certified. They've gone through a rigorous training. And that's great to know. So the fact that it's science-backed, evidence-based, trainers are certified, that seems to give you a competitive difference, a competitive edge almost, you think?
Well, let's just start by saying we're very proud of the method that we've put together and the results that it brings about. From a standpoint of anytime you're laying your hands on people, we certainly believe very strongly that the practitioner that's doing it should be highly skilled and have a level of mastery. And that's what our training program is all about. It's also about consistency. So when you learn the vital stretch method, whether you're receiving a stretch in San Francisco or San Diego or here in Connecticut, we want the approach to be similar. You may have different communication, different rapport with your what we call our VSP, our vital stretch practitioner, but the methodology and approach is going to have that string of consistency through it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's part of the training that goes on with your new franchise owner, so that they can provide the consistency that if I'm a client of a franchise in California and I'd be having to travel to New York or Florida, I can visit a vital stretch and expect the same consistent type of treatment, just like
100%.
Correct.
100%.
That's really important. Yes.
Yeah. But we have some other good differentiators, Rick, with our group, things that again that we drew upon our experience in healthcare. So we wanted to create an environment that was more of a healing environment, not clinical. So you'll find that our studios are very warm, they're boutique-y, they're semi-private. So you're not out in an open space. It's more of a personalized experience that our guests will have. We also have some fantastic, which you could talk about, some technology that assesses. It's very cool. It assesses. It's what we call vital signs. It's a posture and motion assessment system,
Mhm.
so that we can see not only where restrictions are occurring, but also imbalances, both when people are static as well as when they're going through different motions.
It's really innovative. It's a LiDAR camera technology, so it's 3D images. And we can go through a series of movements, and then get very specific as far as any restrictions or imbalances. It gives the client a little video so they can actually see them perform the movements and where those imbalances are. It's very visual.
So you set the baseline,
Set the
right,
baseline.
at the first visit with different like video of different movement, different parts of the body, and then you'll coordinate that with the patient's desire to have certain areas worked on, and then you can measure that over time, right?
You can
Because
do
they're
it kind of.
and I'm sure you have a membership model which allows that measurement over time to see the improvement, the performance, and all of those characteristics that keep customers coming back.
So we do. So first of all, when we talk about the vital signs technology that we incorporate and how we implement it, this again draws upon our experience from the clinical side of life that we lived for so many decades. And that is, it's one thing for people to say, I feel good. I'm walking better, my ache is gone, I'm playing golf better, I'm able to get on the floor with my grandkids, whatever it is that is your goal, or that makes you live your life, more fully. But we also want to have measured results. And that's exactly what you're talking about. So you get that baseline in terms of movement or restrictions, and then you see as you're moving along how they are improving. So you mix that measurement with the subjective how I feel, and it's very motivating for our guests, for our clients, but it's also very informative. And it also informs our VSPs, our stretch practitioners, where to focus their care. So it really plays multiple roles.
It really does. And it's really important for us. And we do a lot of training surrounding this. We're really working on people's goals. What are they coming in for? What are they looking to gain from this? We're not a cookie cutter approach. They're not going to come in and have the same 10 or 12 stretches every single time. It's really geared towards what their goals are and where we see those imbalances.
So if I were a client of a franchise, would it be most important for me to work with the same VSP time and time again, or is my information stored so that any VSP because I couldn't make it at the certain time, I had to make it at a different time, can look and know immediately that I'm working on these areas and things like that?
I think the answer is yes and yes. So obviously people will have it's more than just the hands-on method. You establish a relationship
Yeah.
with anybody that's working with you. So for that reason, people do like to work once they find, somebody that they work with the same VSP throughout. However, if they're not there, if they're booked, if they're on vacation, certainly stretch with their colleague. The whole idea again is that consistency. And yes, of course, we take notes that they know what has been done in prior
There's notes
visits.
taken at every visit, so that if there's another stretch practitioner stretching that day, they can go in and see exactly what was focused on the time before.
Yep.
So we've known each other maybe a year, right? You
Over a year.
franchising
Just a little over.
Just a little over,
a little over a year, and you came into you became a legal franchise, and you put a ton of work into your growth, and it's starting to happen. Talk about that.
It's moving from like that initial traction, and now it's moving more into momentum.
We're in like the awkward teenage phase now.
It's a good feeling though. So yeah, back in 23, we really brought this to market in the first half of 2023, and we've awarded 23 territories in about the last 9 months. And that's continuing, and it's accelerating as here we are at the beginning of 2024. So we very much believe in, managed growth. One of the dedications we have, Rick, I could tell you, is it's one thing to award a territory, but there's a lot of responsibility that goes with it, and we take that very, very seriously. So in terms of being able to offer really just top level and very available support for the people who invest in our family, that's really where our focus is at.
Well, I would have expected that because of your reputation, what you've built, your careers, and the care that you have put into creating this, not only your core business, but the franchise system. You're probably very careful on who you award too.
We are.
Because it's protecting your brand. You want the right person to be able to take it and run, but follow your system. But 23 territories in 9 months. That's incredible. I go back to what Missy stated about the awkward teenage stage. Or could be experiencing a 6-inch growth spurt over the summer, stuff like that. But
you're right.
And I'm sure that you're also made the right steps to be able to support that type of growth, because you're at the beginning of the hockey stick.
That's it. So, building in the infrastructure, we have the infrastructure as far as the business side of the of the approach, so the service, the assisted stretch is all on the front end, but then there's all the operations behind it so that it's smooth and consistent. We've built out systems for everything, but now next steps have been building the infrastructure in terms of staffing, whether it's support under our umbrella or partnerships to fulfill those aspects of things that, quite frankly, there are things that we're good at, and what we're not good at, we want to find those people who are the best at it to be able to, adjunct and add to it.
Yeah, that's true. It's kind of the evolution of your brand,
yep.
Right?
Exactly.
It's certain things will be needed in place at 23, at 50, at 100, and 200 as you develop this national and possibly international presence with the vital stretch.
Yes. We feel it's really important to have those support teams in place. For instance, we have a real estate team. We have a construction management team. We have a payroll and HR team. So we have a lot of systems in place to make it as simple and smooth as possible during the onboarding process. And so that our franchisees have, basically the business in a box, right? They have everything they need to get started. Especially if they don't have the prior business experience.
Yes. What were 2 or 3 common characteristics of your franchisees, your latest franchisees, that kind of gave you the impression, okay, these people are going to be, I want them in my system?
Mm-hmm. It's a great question. And I'll tell you, that's one of the things, Rick, that we've learned along the way, because when you first start, meeting people, you don't know what you don't know. You have a sense of it. So things that we look for and things that we try to identify, and I believe we've found and are really, we have some great people who've joined our family. We're very, very lucky, truly. We look for, first of all, transferable skills. If somebody has a background that they've done, maybe they're coming out of the corporate world, but they've done team building, team management, they have sales or marketing background, they've been in positions of leadership of small, mid-size, or even larger teams. A level of maturity, they're not, they've have some experience behind them and they understand what it's like to run a business. We certainly look for people who have a passion for what we're doing. We have a mission. We have a vision for the future of where we're going. We enjoy fitness. We enjoy wellness, And so we look for those core attributes of the folks who work with us, because at the end of the day, we feel that it should be a match. This is a long-term relationship. You don't want to put a round peg in a square hole. You find the right people, we're good for them, they're good for us. That's the best likelihood of things flourishing as we move along.
Yeah, it's really important to have passion for what we're doing. So as long as that comes across along with the transferable skills, it's a great match.
True. So a passion for what you're doing, passion for health and wellness, but the big picture type of attributes of understanding the marketplace, being able to motivate a team to put together a great team to build a brand and create a large dominating market share within your space, within their community and territory. That's what I'm hearing. And that goes back to your comments of that the VSPs, or certainly the franchise owner, doesn't have to have a professional background in healthcare to be able to be a successful franchisee.
That's correct.
Correct.
That's absolutely right. Yep.
Great. Go ahead, Rob. Are you going to say something? No?
No. Turning back to you, Rick.
All right. So, 2024 goals, is it to get to 50, or is it even bigger, or just kind of measured growth?
It's a great question.
It is.
So obviously, from a business standpoint, you want to set goals.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, we're not driven purely by goals. We're really just committed to building it consistently, steadily. And I mentioned the word before that we've gone from traction to momentum. And someone who's played sports or watched sports over the years, momentum is a fickle thing. You start getting momentum, you want to keep that momentum going, but we want to do it responsibly. So we'll have material growth over this year.
What's really important to us is taking the franchisees that we have, the first bunch into the system, and really nurturing that.
That's right.
That growth that they're having. So it's really, last year was a learning curve in so much as how do we, put the brand out there? What does it look like, to consumers who are looking to buy a business? And this year we've gained a lot of that knowledge, and now we really are shifting to operational support to our franchisees, our current franchisees. That's the really important aspect for us this year, along with growth and awarding territories, of course.
That's right. So we want to grow and sustain that growth, but we want to make sure that our attention is focused on supporting the people who've invested
Into our system.
Yeah, their time and their money into a dream. So that's where our focus, must be.
I absolutely agree. I mean, you've got 23 locations. Now it's time to get them open successfully, right? So it's a balance. It's really a balance of making sure that they're supported so that they open and develop their successful businesses. But then I would say more measured, because you're really looking for the right people. Yeah, you can lose momentum if you award to the wrong people, because you're having to go back and retrain or correct mistakes, which takes the time away from those that are you're proud of and that are getting ready to open.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Like I said, so far we've been selective, and I think we've been very fortunate. So may that continue, right?
Yeah. Do you have any franchisees in California yet?
No. We're registered in California, but we haven't made any partnerships. It's wide open right now.
All right. I'm trying to find somebody who can be local to me, who can own a Vital Stretch, so I can become a member.
There you go.
It's funny, Rick. When are you going to open up one of these by me? Soon.
Yeah. Hey, well, is there anything that we haven't covered that you want to express in our few remaining minutes? Have we covered everything that you thought we should?
So,
think
well,
so.
let me ask you this. The title of your podcast is Franchising Right for You. So are you speaking to people who are looking to bring their business and become a franchisor, or are you talking to people primarily who are looking to consider investing in a franchise as a business?
In the case of this particular podcast, it's
Yeah.
finding people who are interested in the vital stretch
Okay.
and working with you and your team to figure out if it's right for them and you're right for the, if it's the right partnership. So
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
fact that we talked about how the vital stretch came into play, your growth, what's important to you, the great attributes of a good franchisee. It's certainly, once they engage with you, they'll understand that it's a modest cost to open your doors.
It is.
We don't need to get into those type of the weeds there, but so it's an encouragement of people to say, hey, I never knew about the vital stretch. Now I know more. I'm going to contact somebody about them, whether it's you directly or me or one of my colleagues. That was the intent of this particular one. Others, well, when I've had franchisors on podcasts, it's been with the same motivation. It's really each story is unique on how they developed into a franchise.
Mhm.
It's like I had Dennis Schooley on Schooley Mitchell,
Mhm.
and he never thought of, I'm going to create this audit franchise. He was a CPA and a semi-professional baseball player, and his CPA work kind of started to uncover, well, these companies that we're doing this accounting work for there's a lot of errors, a lot of stuff. We start auditing them, so things like that. It's those type of stories that create interest.
Mhm.
And now, if we convey your business model, that may deepen the interest, and that's my intent.
So it's funny that you mentioned that with Dennis Schooley, because I think the foundation of any entrepreneurial thought venture process is that you find a need that's out there, and when you see the need that exists, then you bring in the solution, and that's where it all begins. Finding the need and how can you help? How can you fill that hole?
That's true. And one of my guests is the founder of Options for Senior America. And back in the 80s, he was trying to find this type of care for his mother and couldn't. And
There you go.
There you go. Right.
business has been in existence for 30. This will be the 35th year.
There you go.
There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it's those type of stories that grabs people's attention. Your story and others. I've had clients who have bought into franchising just to, like, one woman doing two things at once. Heavy hitter in a corporate career, wanted to start a business, and is doing both.
Mhm.
So that's a demonstration that it can happen. You can keep your job and develop a business. So those are that's what I wanted to. My intent was to reveal interest and excitement in franchising through different channels of stories. That
Yep.
makes sense.
Absolutely.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome,
Hey.
and it's good to see you guys again. I
Yeah.
Well, you as well.
appreciate, and it's a privilege to have you on.
Thank you so much.
Thanks
Privileged
for
to be
inviting
here.
us.
Okay.
You've been tuning into Is Franchising Right for You? With your host, Rick Morgin. You can find more episodes on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.